How's it going, everybody? JT here on behalf of the daily general discussion on our Ethereum and the EV Mavics Discord for this 124th episode for this day, September 12, 2025. This is the EV Mavericks podcast. I am joined today with Brian Smocovich, a.k.a. Darkest Timeline Jeff on Reddit, at BSmokes on X, joining us today for a nice discussion. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you.
It's a pleasure to be here, JT. Thank you so much for inviting me. Always love to participate and hang out with you.
Well, I appreciate you carving out some time today. It's been a long time coming. We haven't actually made this a real public thing outside of Reddit itself, but the our Ethereum moderators in the back cave of a Telegram chat have developed a pretty incredible AMA series, and there's a ton of guests up on the docs, but we've already been doing this for a few weeks. And Brian, you're kind of helping to spearhead this along with Edmund Edgar, I believe. Take us through a little bit. What's the inspiration, and how can people reach out to the our Ethereum mods to get on the list? We want to get all these teams out there that are building on the Ethereum planet.
Yeah, absolutely. The real inspiration just came from, originally I wanted to just promote Ethereum builders in any way possible, right? And so it first started with a weekly thread idea that we were pinning, like weekly, just asking like, what are you building? So people had an opportunity to share, and it didn't really gain enough traction. Like it gained some posts here and there, but it wasn't achieving the objective that we set out to be, right?
Right.
And so instead of that, I think we came up with this idea of, well, we kind of frequently do podcasts or our AMAs for the Ethereum Foundation every once in a while. I think it's like once a quarter or twice a year, something like that. And so it's like, well, what if we just have an ongoing series of these AMAs in which we can highlight a particular project that's Ethereum aligned, promote it within the basically the top bar, the weekly bar, because we do get a good amount, and just see how it goes, right? And so we did our first AMA. And it went very well. It had I think it generated 45,000 impressions. It generated a lot of, I think at least 100 upvotes and somewhere that amount of questions as well asked. And it was good exposure for these projects, at least to people who are very Ethereum heavy, right? People who are coming into the Reddit. How are we driving more traffic to the Reddit? And this works as a way to drive traffic to the Reddit as well, because we're having these project founders create new accounts, coming to post. Like I know, for example, this week's AMA is with Cup of Joseph from Nerite. They're building a stablecoin streaming service on Arbitrum. So it's really cool that we can promote that, right? And so I saw Joe's account, and he went in and he was answering another, commenting in the daily, to someone else's thing, just because he just made this new Reddit account, and now we have a new user in the Reddit, and also his account's posted, and I've seen there's a good amount of questions. There was at least 15, 20 questions being asked to him from new users, and it's all very high quality questions, right? Because the Ethereum user base is more technical than the average retail user.
Yeah.
They're a bit more skeptical than the average retail user, which works very well for questions and AMAs. And it allows projects to get exposure to these types of high quality users and win them over by engaging with them, right? And high quality engagement, I think, is what every project is looking for at the end of the day. Nerite also posted us on their X and promoted us, and so it's good that we're getting that type of exposure to the Reddit. It's a cross pollination, right? We get exposure to them, and the next logical step is, can we now get these founders into this podcast and create a sort of a more builder promotion culture, because people are building really cool things out there. And one of the hardest things, I know this as a founder myself, is that marketing and reach and promotions it can be difficult to get, right? Distribution is king. And so how do we help each other? How do we give promotions to these projects into a place where there's really kind of a white space, a void of this sort of distribution channel? And so for Reddit to be able to pick up and assist in this, I think is great. One, because Reddit's good for it. I don't think it's going to be the channel, to be honest, because people have sort of fallen out of favor with Reddit in larger scales. But at least this podcast and your podcast, I actually think, can be the eventual channel to promote people, right? You're incredibly consistent with how often you do the live stream, getting people on and talking to people. And so I think it's just even more about, we were talking about this right before the show with Logris mentioned, maybe how do we create more timely podcasts based on certain things that are happening, right? Like when something happens in the space, and that's what Bankless used to be really good at, is there would be a hack that would happen or something would happen, and we'd reach out to them, and they would go on the podcast and talk about it, right? So it was all, which was amazing. It was all very timely. And I think that while they still do that to some degree, they've shifted more to like a larger scale, larger efforts of conversations, and that's okay. It's sort of like the natural progression of where their podcast has gone, and that has left a void in its wake of that sort of need to do what we're sort of doing now. And I'm super, you guys just asked me if I would help out with outreach. I would love to, and so this is even a first call to action of, if anyone out there wants exposure, right?
Yeah.
If you want to talk about your project, if you want to participate in the Reddit AMA, let us know. Send me a DM on Twitter. It's always the best, or Telegram directly. It's the best place to do it, honestly. Also, are we live streaming on Twitter?
Yeah, we're on 2 different channels on X and 1 channel on Twitch and YouTube, and my mom's watching on LinkedIn, I'm pretty sure.
All right, let's go. All right, I just retweeted from from my personal account, and I'm gonna go retweet it from the Pistachio account as well.
Yeah, well, and to going back to the form factor of Reddit, I think the driving message here is, you got 3 things you have at your availability as a team builder. You have the front page AMA sticky thread. You can also participate in the community anytime you want with any kind of an update in the daily general discussion. And then the trifecta is to come on the podcast. I mean, it's pretty simple. We have our podcast guests. We can extend an invitation to them to also earn a spot at the top of the page for a week on Ethereum Reddit. That's like a double. That's a 2 for 1, and all of it's free. And then the bonus is stick around and be a part of the community, or even come and chime in and help out with the other teams if there's some cross-pollination thing. Those types of things can happen live on stream as well. When you're looking for avenues, like you said, in terms of marketing, you can squeeze a lot of juice out of one platform on Reddit with these dynamics. And I feel like that, like you said, Reddit fell out of favor. That wasn't our fault. That was a lot of the API issues. But I feel like Reddit is very much relevant moving forward. Our Ethereum used to do this stuff, and the AMAs were huge back in the day. I mean, I feel like that, 6, 7, 8 years ago, there was a lot more activity in terms of AMAs. And then it just kind of slid off after the API thing. And I mean, not to discredit the original moderator team, I feel like they were kind of stretched for people that are actively trying to actually put more work in than just removing trolls. And so now this is us donating an extra part of our time, trying to make the substrate of Reddit genuinely great for teams to come in and double dip. You can do an audio thing, you can put your talking head on the podcast, and then your technical team members can sit and listen to great questions. Like you said, Brian, like our Ethereum community could be very technically tough. And that's good, because if you got to survive everything, including the proper amount of criticism, and you only get better through that. Not that there's a bunch of people that sit around criticizing all day, but you're going to find people are going to ask some tough questions out there, and if these are the people you want to listen to, right? You don't want to listen to just the same people sitting around your conference table all day or your Zoom call. You got to get out in the field and listen to other people, because that's what's going to make you stronger. And we got some intelligent people on Reddit that are very good, very kind. There's a great culture there. That's the other thing. We're not going to let people just dog shit on you like they can on X. I mean, if trolls are trolls, right? They're gone. We'll handle that. So There you go. So this is the Nearite team, it looks like. Decentralized stablecoin
there's
protocol.
good questions in there on like, so what differentiates this from their competition, right? That was a common theme. What are some use cases for this? Like, why should I care? How are you going to get to win users, right? Compared to, like you're going head to head with much larger enterprises. How are you going to win users? What's your plan to onboard people? Can I have some? That was a funny one.
Actually, his response was the best for there because
it was yes. Here you go. I'm streaming $1 a month. I love
to
that.
whip up a demo.
Yeah, well played.
He streamed the guy $1 a month for the next year.
That's great. ABC Kotup, fellow moderator, formerly of Week in Ethereum, he has 3 questions in here. What made you choose Arbitrum as the home for USND? What tech stack to use for USND? Why snails? What's the story behind the name? And he supplied these questions 11 hours ago, and the team's going to be coming through. And as they've been very consistent, that's a thing. If you're going to have your AMA on Reddit, be consistent and visit it and answer the questions. The good feedback for the community encourages the discussion to do discussion leading to the next questions.
And definitely do make sure that the teams come in, drop into the daily and say, by the way, there's an AMA happening. There's plenty of people that just are in the daily and don't really view the top level post that much.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, maybe we could get Tricky to add us AMA, reminder each time he does his daily do. Yeah, Tricky.
That would be good on an ongoing basis, just to have it in the sticky.
Yeah, Tricky, if you're hearing this, we're adding more to your already busy plate. Oh, man, what a jewel. Yeah, Tricky Troll's been a pretty busy boy helping us out with the Daily Doots. I can't believe how many days in a row he's done it. It's incredible. All right, so as the AMA series continues, Brian, what other teams are on the docket so far? I'm trying to remember who we had last week. We got Nearite this week. We had a couple more before, I think. But who else is in the chamber?
Yeah, so last week was the Ethereum Foundation, and we ran that for 2 weeks actually.
Nice.
Give them a little extra love while they, it's usually the most popular AMA as well. Upcoming over the next few weeks, and this is going to be, one per week. We have the Curios team, the Chip team with Winnie, Awaken Tax, Joke Race, Risk Finance, Azos, Orbit Finance, Mega ETH, and of course Pistachio.
Hey, Pistachio, that's your project. Pistachio's
protect your nut.
Protect your nut. Pistachio and Brian have been on the podcast before. Pistachio's a wallet. It's beyond that, though. I feel like it's kind of got payment rails. It's got the ability to do some KYC for off-ramping, on-ramping. What other updates do you have while you're here? Might as well ask you what's going on.
Yeah, we can do a quick update. Because right now we're really positioning ourselves more as an on-chain neobank. And a lot of the updates that we've done over the last few months have just been hardening the system, right? We've launched recently over a few months ago, and a lot of it's just been really focused on improving, hardening transactions, making sure they go through, because we do have like a multi-chain architecture, which makes things challenging to say the least, right? Like we have a way the whole thing is to make things easier for users, right? So for example, one of the things that we've improved is we do cross-chain zaps into our earning vaults. And so, for example, our earning vault is earning 9% on USDC on base, and we made it so that users can deposit any token from any chain in one transaction without token approvals to that vault, right? But what does that mean for us is, let's say you're depositing Ethereum on Arbitrum to the USDC base vault. That transaction that needs to go through is a swap, right? It's basically a swap or a bridge first of bridging that transaction from Arbitrum to base, and then swapping from ETH to base, ETH to USDC, and then depositing it all within one transaction so that the user doesn't have to like go back and do it or wait, right? And so we were running into errors of things basically when the deposit would like time out if like the bridge took too long, and then the swap would take too long. And so we had to basically build listeners on the back end to make sure that when you did the transaction, it just persisted in the back of the app without the user needing to interact with it, without it failing. And so we've hardened a lot of the failing transactions that that were happening on the app so that they work better. And I guess I can give you guys a little bit of alpha for what's coming up for the next week or so, or the next few weeks. One is that we're going to be releasing Android very soon. It's pretty much done, which has been a lot of hard work on the effort of our devs. We're just it's like a little polish and then submitting to the Play Store. And then second, we have a very large activation coming out with Base. And this is really important because you mentioned you can do KYC, right? And so what's going to be really, really cool about this is this is going to be basically the easiest way to ramp to Ethereum, the easiest way to ramp to Base. It's going to be no fees, no KYC, up to $500. No KYC up to $500 per week.
Wow!
And you can basically go on and with your Apple Pay deposit up to $500 via Apple Pay. And so it's just in 2 buttons. You basically have to just confirm like an SMS for like liveliness or for.
Do I still get like my 2% cash back from my credit card?
If you deposit it, if you use maybe
Apple Pay hits my card, right? So can I just churn in $500 a week, make an extra bit on cash back, and then throw it in DeFi?
Yeah, likely. You know what? Try it.
Damn.
I'm not giving you the 2% cash back, so I highly advocate that you try
Get 10 points.
That's funny.
Yeah. Well, you get 2% on the cash back, and then you throw that. So what's going to be really cool is the user experience, right, is now a seamless onboarding, which has been what we've focused on before. Now we're focusing on the seamless on-ramping, right, in just a double tap on-ramp of $500 instantly. And because you on-ramp in USDC on Base and our vaults are USDC on Base, you can then deposit directly from that on-ramp to the vault to earn 9% plus without fees, right? We pay for the gas. So again, there's no user loss.
Yeah. Fuck the Fed Reserve money market. We make 9% around here.
Yeah, and so looking forward, we're actually going to be doing I guess I can say it. We're looking to partner with Gauntlet, who is the best vault curator in the game. Their current stablecoin vault is also on Base, and it is earning 13%. So once we have that integrated, right, we're basically going to have this really smooth user experience of really easy onboarding, like downloading the app and getting an account without any KYC, depositing USDC on Base without any KYC or for fees, and then taking that and depositing it to these vaults without any gas fees. Right. And so you have like a no KYC, no loss, no fee flow where you can earn 9 to 13% very easily. And then forward looking, we're also going to have our cards hopefully within the next few months. And so this is just going to create this full ecosystem of basically of self non-custodial bank.
The self-licking pistachio ice cream cone. I like it.
And then you get a credit card the other way that I can repay from. Just repay once a month from the account, right? And I can make cash back the other way too.
That's the mission. Yeah, exactly. So we're basically we're talking with our card provider right now, specifically Logris, because you mentioned I want this ability to, and EtherFi does it as well. Good shout. Even though they're sort of competitor to us, shout out to them. They're such a good company, man. They're very high quality. And so, like what they do and what we're planning on doing with our credit card provider is the collateral that you provide for the card will be interest bearing essentially. And so when you spend against it, and when you spend, you would also gain cash back. Huh. And so there's a lot of ways to earn a lot of easy ways to earn with Pistachio, right? It's if you want
no fees
and no well. No fees most of the time. There's fees in certain places, right? Because we do got to make money, but for the most part,
no gas fees, like no gas. Very little friction.
Right. Very little friction, and I'd say our fees are extremely user friendly, right? Like we're very user friendly. We're not extractive in that manner.
Very good. Well, for those of you that are watching out there on all the various streams, this is Brian Smocovich, Shostakovich, Smocovich, BSmokes on X, Darkest Timeline Jeff on Reddit, fellow Reddit moderator, and Pistachio.fi. And I was so glad you were able to come and talk today and give us an update on Pistachio, but also all the AMA action out there. I want to make sure we just say it once again. Stop by our Ethereum. all you got to do is just type in the daily, hey, I'm from such and such team. You can ping any of the moderators on the sidebar. We'll get you directed to the right people to get you on the list for the AMAs that are upcoming. Most of these run 1 week. We are booked already out about 10 weeks. Claros, Chipped, Awaken Tax, Joke Race, Risk Finance, Azos, Orbit Finance, Mega ETH, which always makes me bullish whenever I see them around. And of course, Pistachio is going to be doing their AMA. And we've got all kinds of guests that are going to be coming up on the podcast as well that are different. So what we're going to do with our podcast guests is cross-pollinate over to the AMA side, hand them off over to the rest of our team to get them scheduled there. And then we're going to ask these teams that we've already got booked for the AMAs if they want to jump on the podcast. So, yeah, you can head to dailydoots.com, subscribe to this podcast wherever you get them, Apple, Spotify. We're all over the place. And we got 2 channels on X right now, YouTube, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And if you give us a like and smash that bell, a baby will cry in delight somewhere in Nebraska. So, very good. Anything else, BSmokes, before we run on to the rest of the show?
Let's see. If anyone will be participating at base camp over the next few days, I'll be there. I'll be there Monday and Tuesday in Stowe, Vermont, which is going to be really cool. So yeah, come by and say hi. I'm down to chill. I'm always looking to meet all the builders that we can, and especially if you want exposure on Reddit, let me know. Excellent.
Great job. Thank you. Very good. Well, it is that time, everybody. It is time to go through our weekly Doots. It's always a great time. Every Friday we do this 2 Eastern. We do it live. You can't catch it. You can always watch it back. We always upload it back on YouTube, and we cut out some information that's just dead silence and shorten it up a bit for you. So, yeah, here we go. The Weekly Doots live stream is all about showcasing the best of the week from the daily general discussion on our Ethereum. This is a read-along reaction series. If you want to follow along, head to dailydoots.com. Designed and produced by our very own Henny Abu. Big thanks to Tricky Troll for capturing and curating each day's Doots, and the A word for curating this most beloved weekly list. And as always, if you know somebody that wants a piece of this action, send them my way. All right, let's jump right in. We got our rich list of the week. This is incredible. Harog is at 259 at the top of the leaderboard. At number 10, Ethical Trade and Aiden Cairo are tied up. Crypto Wild Currency at 125. JS Tears, he was on the show last week at 126. Hanny Abu at 134. Tricky Troll 162. Benito 2030 at 175. Superfizz at 231. LogrisTheBard at the number 2 spot at 232. Harog is crushing it, on track to break 300 this year. And Logri, I think you're on track to get well above 250 before the end of the year. That's pretty freaking exciting. As of right now, I haven't
written that much, but
yeah, well, you always seem to make it on there with even a mild amount of pros, man. 1,250 total duders on the week on the board, and that is updated weekly. All right, we got plenty of activity going on September, October, November. ETH Safari, Khalifi, ETH Sophia, and where is that? BGR, Sofia, Bulgaria, maybe? New Delhi, India has got Pragma and ETH Global New Delhi. Singapore's got Token 2049, October 1st through 2nd. Proto Layers Conference in Prague, Czech Republic, October 11th. And Edge Patagonia is going to be going on in Argentina, I believe. It looks like October 18th all the way. It's a month-long deal going on there. Encode London is from the 24th through the 26th. Dev Connect, the big boy, Buenos Aires, November 17th through the 22nd.
We need to get ETH Latam on there.
All right. Reach out to, where does Hanny Abu get all these? Is it off of like the our Ethereum? I'm not our Ethereum, but ethereum.org. I don't know. That's a good question. ping Henny Abu. He can fix you up. Tell me more about that conference.
It's going to be in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and so it's basically kind of like a pre-conference in a way to Dev Connect, right? It's the week before Dev Connect. So if anyone's in the area going to Argentina, it's like a very quick stopover to go to Brazil first. I'll be at both. They've been really good about builders and payment apps and especially building the LATAM space, and so they've invited me to go and speak at both of them, and so I'll be attending both, talking about. I think my talk's going to be about custody versus self-custody and building, and which people why build on either, the pros and cons, with an obvious bias towards why people should build it towards self-custody. But it should be a good event. I haven't been to Sao Paulo before. I'm a bit nervous, I will say. I've heard not so great things about the safety of Sao Paulo, but I've heard good things about the city itself. So let's see. We'll see how it goes.
Okay, that sounds fun. I think you'll be fine.
Yeah,
I forgot to talk about something I did this last week. The Heartland Digital Asset Exchange took place in Kansas City. And there was some really interesting people that were there. Head of Coinbase Global Assets was there. I can't remember his name. There was a billionaire there that was a real estate developer that was using Bitcoin as a way to collateralize towards real estate purchases, and then offer the rental fees made from the apartment complexes that he owns, which they have under custody, 15,000 units. They purchased Bitcoin. And so it's kind of a self-licking ice cream cone of investing, and it's like the only thing he invests in. It was kind of funny because, as expected, somebody in the crowd, this guy raised his hand and was like, have you ever thought, this was his words exactly, get ready. Have you ever thought about purchasing other crypto assets instead of Bitcoin, such as Cardano and XRP? And I was just like, fucking puked. Sorry, I don't mean drop the F-bomb, but I puked in my mouth a little. I was like, I knew it was going to happen. But the reality is like, eventually that dude's going to use a smart contract on Ethereum probably to help with some of this stuff. But anyway, enough about that. So that guy's talk was really cool. But the coolest one was a trucking company. Let's see if I'm trying to remember. I got to find this thing. It was a truckers coin. Let's see. I got to do this. Truck driver coin. No. Blockchain. Let me just type in blockchain. It's got to come up. They're formed out of Wyoming, but they are what they are doing. Truck coin tokenization, crossroads of the trucking industry. There it is. Okay, all right. So what these guys did, and it's really genius, is there is a problem in the trucking industry, particularly for mom and pop shops. Okay, forget about the big fleet companies that are out there, like Walmart owns their own fleet, right? Think about the vast majority, I didn't know this, but it's like 87% of the trucking industry are mom and pop shops with less than 10 employees. That blew my mind. But the $2.7 trillion freight trucking market, blah, 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 there's a settlement thing where the truckers accept the manifested goods from the suppliers and they give them to the customer, and the customer has usually a net 30, a net 45, or a net 90 days to pay the trucking company. Okay. And the problem is like with a small company, it's hard to just eat that month over month over month, especially if you're just getting started. So what happens is there's companies out there that specialize in short-term loans for trucking companies, but they are able to basically charge they were giving these numbers like the aggregate over an annualized compounding interest rate at something like 30%. So a lot of these small trucking companies are really struggling just to make enough payments to cover the interest and the principal and then wait to get paid. But then they've already got all these other deliveries they got to do. So this recirculating problem of the mom and pop trucking companies getting eaten. All right, there's the problem. The solution is there's a coin that operates on a trucker's exchange, and then there's trucking companies. So people who invest in the coin are also providing liquidities in a pool that ensure that the trucking companies get paid within 48 hours instead of 30 days or 45 or 90 days. And so the pool
it's a short-term loan system.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of things like this, yeah.
Yeah, but my point is like when people are looking for a use case for blockchain, they're doing it. And they've got something like 100 trucks right now, and they're adding more all the time, but they're building out the infrastructure and getting funding done to like expand this business and really put the trucking industry, at least the owner operators, on a even footing with the big boys. So that was a really cool talk. This is okay. So back up again. Heartland Digital, the Heartland Digital thing here in Kansas City was essentially a lot of the sponsors are also they're either like success stories or they are companies that are actively looking for venture capital. And then the audience there was not a lot of crypto native people. It was, here it is, and this is what I love seeing. The room was packed, by the way, standing room only at times, was mom and pop or family offices of certified financial planners looking for blossoming assets and things to invest in. So there you go. Because of the regulations and the environment in the room was very overwhelmingly bullish on, I know people are not a fan of Trump, but the room was exceptionally bullish that Gary Gensler is out, that the SEC is on the right path. And there's the regulatory side of things from the White House on down has made this really possible for CFPs and accountants to start to really put some serious capital in. Because there's people out there that are sitting on loads of cash that they like to go to the casino too. But what I found at this conference was like some of these teams that were talking, this isn't like the NFT gambling shitcoin casino gaming token convention. This was like serious. There was serious money in the room. It was only about 150 people, but they had to change locations because the demand was so high. So I just wanted to give a little shout out to the Kansas City area. This conference, I am definitely going to try to get Paul Brody to come to this because representing EY, he would crush that room. And
Nightfall's been in the logistics space since inception, right?
Exactly.
Like that's this is one of the blockchain things. It's like it's used to fight forgeries, right? From entering the supply chain, being pawned off as real.
Bingo.
It's used to prevent things like spread of disease, so you can know where your lettuce came from if someone catches something from it, right?
Yeah.
Trace it back to the source and stop that source from also going to other unrelated enterprises and spreading disease. There's a bunch of positives that come from basically tracking on the blockchain. And as you said, most of the first off, truck driving is the most numerous occupation in a surprising number of states. It's like 15 states off the top of my head. I'd have to query Grok for it.
You're right? Absolutely right. The number of people.
But it is the most numerous occupation compared to anything else in a surprising number of states. And so this is a very wide distribution benefit, right? Something that affects a lot of common people. And two, within that, it's fragmented. It's already kind of a decentralized thing where there's like job boards for it, which could be done in a more decentralized way using a blockchain, right? We can make a job board on a blockchain. There's advanced payments that you need to facilitate. There's legal arrangements, and basically you need an Oracle system over who's at fault for something that looks a lot like an insurance industry. Which guess what? We're building on a blockchain, right? We can make we can definitely improve the efficiency of every financial aspect and every tracking aspect and every legal obligation aspect related to that industry. And this is just, I think, one piece of that puzzle.
Yeah, it was. I felt so refreshed on the future of where we're going. There were not a lot of hard questions coming out of the audience. There was a lot of overwhelmingly like forward thinking people that I don't know. It's just it just made everything so much more cemented that this is just another asset in the pool of life now. It's not as speculative as it once was. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. All right, let's get into this. Let's see. So we got to get to our weekly roundups. The morning roundup. Here we go. Bing, bing, bing. ETH Dude 8686 chimes in Ethereum. Frank the Tank. We're at that time 45.31 on the old USD price. Alexis Kef has at 0.0391, oh so close to that 0.04. Our weekly haiku, courtesy of JS Tears. The settlement streak will continuously tweak. Let the ledger speak. How does he do it, JS Tears? How do you do it every single day? Ship post of the week. Username error says, is there a better proof that Ethereum is the place for stablecoins than the price action of ETH itself? Nice. That's pretty good. Good job, username error. Also, epic username. Minimal Gravitas summarizes what Ethereum's in-game looks like. Minimal Gravitas is a duder number 55 for the week, a longtime OG. In a reply to a comment under the regular quote, EF are selling, unquote, FUD, posted on our cryptocurrency. I tried to lay out a simplification of what the end state of Ethereum will like. For example, when the EF no longer needs to exist. I'd not really tried to put it together before, so I'd love some feedback on what else I have missed or on any points that I've either got wrong or lost, meaning through oversimplification. Here's your bullet points. Single slot finality. So transactions are locked in and irreversible as soon as they are included on chain. How about quantum safe cryptography for signatures and Starkification of the EVM? How about roll-up interoperability, meaning L2 users will have access to any dApps and all liquidity across the ecosystem? How about sharded scaling of blob space, increasing the total throughput of the roll-ups to effectively arbitrarily high numbers of transactions? How about transaction pre-confirmations, forced inclusion lists, and fully decentralized block production, making censorship by block proposers literally impossible? How about encrypted mempool and delay encryption, so targeted censorship becomes impossible for validators, even in the event of a worst-case 67% attack? How about history and state expiry? The requirements for nodes are reduced to negligible levels, meaning every wallet for every user can connect to the chain directly without any need for RPCs. How about in-game account abstraction, which will mean anyone can set up maximally secure self-custody wallets without needing to know anything about private keys or seed phrases? How can I improve this for when I use it again? Minimal Gravitas, duder number 55. This inspired a pretty long conversation. Gumba Hasselhoff, duder number 6, asks, looks like L1 scaling is missing in your list. The current proposals are surprisingly ambitious here, while, quote, L1 doesn't scale, unquote, is a very loud narrative. Potentially, how about adding issuance reduction and MEV burn could also be included. So the conversation continues on there. That got upvoted, 37 upvotes for this week. I don't know if either of you, Logri or Brian, have anything to add to this. All right.
No, I'm glad they posted that.
Yeah.
That's a very good, important topic.
Very important. User Old Mini 7493 is looking for beginner ETH versus BTC content, and user Papazio, I always say that Italian, delivers. Papazio is a duder number 38, been around a long time. And Old Mini 7493 is a duder number 1, making it to the weekly list this week. Very good. First post ever, they said, lurking since 2017. Hi, fam. I just wanted to share my story. I just added that they may have been from the South. They're I don't know. I just wanted to share my story talking to a friend about his future investments into BTC. Looks like people have zero clue about what they are buying, both fundamentally and technically, what leads to repeating maxi FUD straight from the start of the conversation. Even after 3 hours of talking and explaining what is the difference, there was just slightly more interest in Ethereum, as it seems it's too complicated to understand for someone not interested in the mechanics. The information asymmetry is unreal. Looking for a true, neutral, reliable source comparing today's Ethereum network to the BTC network without being biased to one side, while considering zero background knowledge on blockchain. Bankless won't cut it, wink. But a podcast would be perfect. All right, Papazio, short and sweet here with the reply. Howdy. Again, projecting. I think that today only approximately 1% of people with exposure to BTC or ETH could actually compare and contrast the technical differences here. And that's not as bad as it sounds. A far greater number of people can compare and contrast what each one does. And that's okay. For someone to be comfortable in having exposure to either or both, they just need to know that they are divergent, and no technical knowledge is needed for that. If I were in your shoes, I'd point the friend to this 8-year-old video from Andreas Antonopoulos titled The Lion and the Shark. He hits the non-determinate path of development, even away from founders' intent and the trade-offs that are made by development decisions, as well as other great analogies. Yeah. Here. How many of the people in this room are on X got their start listening to some Andreas Antonopoulos? I don't know. I would listen to his talk, and then I'd see that he's over here doing a talk, and it would be the same thing, and I'd still listen to it again. I mean, he was a pretty good master of commanding the narratives back in the day of just the genuine. Yeah,
I think the whole Bitcoin community has a lot of gratitude to him for really carrying through, like, what got Bitcoin up to $1 per Bitcoin, right? It was people like Andreas. Did a lot to establish the legitimacy of this asset and spread awareness of it. I mean, just selflessly went out to universities and conferences, not like crypto conventions, right? But just random conferences, and would give a talk on this, or even if it wasn't on the official stage, would just rent a room. And I remember he'd give like 10 Bitcoins in a wallet that was just like basically at the bottom of your chair, Oprah style. Like, you get 10 Bitcoins, you get 10 Bitcoins. Thanks for coming to my talk, right?
Yeah.
Now that's $1 million.
And I'm wondering where isn't that funny? I wonder where he's at these days. I honestly I haven't followed him. I know he kind of quieted
he's still
down
around
because I think he made the
obviously
flywheel.
done well for himself.
Yeah.
He's obviously financially independent. From if he's giving away 10 Bitcoins, he had enough for himself. But I remember he got a huge donation to himself once upon a time, and he was overseas and couldn't access the wallet. And he's like, crap, because if I just received this, now I've got this tax obligation. And if the price manages to crash before I can get home and sell it, then I may owe more in taxes and be financially ruined if I can't sell it for what's due. Jesus. I'm like, that's interesting.
Is he from Greece?
I don't know his country of origin.
Jamie looked at it.
Just fun things like that. Like it was some very large donation, like 7 figures in dollars at the time, right? And so I know he's doing quite well. He's not nearly as active, not nearly as vocal, but he's also not anti-ETH. I remember seeing a talk by him that was like, bring on the shitcoins, right? Where he's like, we just need a lot of innovation, and there's going to be a lot of failures. There's going to be scams along the way, but we just need a lot of innovation. So bring it on. Yep. Every idea you have, let's see them all developed by everyone willing to, and let's let the winners rise to the top.
Yeah, I got that same vibe.
That was definitely not a BTC Maxi approach.
Yep, 100%. I got the same exact vibe out of him too. It was like he's not going to be hating on Ethereum as long as whatever's out in the space is doing more to upset the fiat system. That's all he cared about.
Be clear, he's not hating on Doge. He's not hating on meme coins. He's not hating on anything, right? He's just like, let's develop all the things and let's see what the market does, right?
Yep, let the market.
Hopefully we'll get all the value humanity somewhere out of that mess.
All right. User Harog explains the World Liberty Finance versus Justin Sun drama. Oh boy, here we go. Harog is the top of the leaderboard at 259 for this week. I'm observing him from the sidelines eating popcorn. It all started end of November 2024 when Justin invested $30 million into World Liberty Financial Coin. He was the single largest investor back then and more or less breathed life into a failing ICO. I think most people agree that WLFI, World Liberty, is just a direct way to send money to the Trump family. That the charges against Justin Sun by the SEC got dropped by the end of February might be a happy coincidence or not. Who knows? This week, 20% of the World Liberty tokens got unlocked. Everyone who sold on the first day made good money on the ICO. Justin Sun publicly pledged to not sell any of his tokens, as World Liberty is one of the most important projects in crypto and even pushes USD1, the World Liberty associated stablecoin, onto Tron. Justin then announced that people staking, or for example locking, World Liberty tokens on his HTX exchange earn 20% APY in World Liberty tokens. It is said that Justin Sun sold these locked tokens from the HTX stakers to indirectly sell all of his own tokens, 20% unlocked and 80% locked ones. The alleged plan is to just reimburse the HTX stakers with Justin's vested tokens when the HTX stakers can unstake. Pretty clever scheming. Justin
Sun is pretty clever.
Yeah.
I'll give him that. He's done some creative things with like whale games, forcing liquidations, catching the stop losses.
Yeah.
When you have the billions and you can swing them around, I've seen him do very intelligent things with the weight of that.
Yeah. It continues. Justin also deposited some of his unlocked tokens into HTX, probably for selling them. Obviously, the World Liberty team does not want to be out-crimed on their scheming, and just locked all of Justin Sun's tokens.
Yeah, it was big drama.
The unlocked and locked ones. Holy
legit.
Shit!
And it's hilarious because World Liberty Financial ostensibly was created because the Trump family didn't want people being debanked.
Oh my gosh!
The irony is rich.
Wow. World Liberty, which according to them brings freedom to the financial world, is debanking and freezing funds within a few days of its existence. How ironic. Now Justin, the World Liberty team, and crypto Twitter are debating who sold and who held. Twitter investigators, that's air quotes, are using LLMs to prove Justin's innocence. Vibe judging was not on my bingo cards for this year. Nansen is Nansen a blockchain analytics? Nansen is also one of the 27 super representatives on Tron, which means that they are one of 27 Tron validators. Oh, that's right. Okay. In conclusion, it looks like Justin and World Liberty are out scheming and out criming each other. Justin might have finally met his match. I like popcorn.
We have pizzas. We have 300 hamburgers. Many French fries.
How dare you?
Oh my gosh, what a...
Now, the blockchain can be uncensorable, but certainly individual smart contracts can add whatever admin controls they want, right?
Shoot, it goes on. The World Liberty drama is continuing. Justin Sun pledged to buy $10 million of World Liberty and another $10 million of Alt5, the World Liberty Treasury play. He hopes that these bribes will help him get his funds unlocked.
Hey, the scammer scammed me. Maybe if I send them $20 million more, now they'll unscam.
He's paying money to the scammers. You're not supposed to do that. Sounds like he knows how the game is played. I've not heard any reaction to this by the World Liberty team. By the way, I completely forgot that Justin Sun was also an advisor for World Liberty after he made his initial purchases. The World Liberty team then said that they froze Justin's account to protect their customers, and they would not do it for any other reason. In the meantime, the World Liberty team froze a few more wallets. They themselves say they froze 272. Holy crap, 272 wallets. One is from the DevRel of Polygon. The DevRel is not really sure why they did that. And he says, as it is the president's family, there's not really a good way to challenge the freezing legally.
So what are you going to do? Take him to the Supreme Court? Like, this is amongst the only players in the world. You can be sure you're not going to have justice done for you, right?
And finally he says, I see it as a positive.
These guys in North Korea hackers. You're not getting justice against the Lazarus Group. You're probably not getting justice for against the Trump family.
God.
So careful who you do business with.
Jeez. I see it as a positive that this project seems to be failing spectacularly from the get-go. It will limit the influence it will have on the space. Wow, that is insane. I mean, I knew there was drama, but that's crazy.
Oh, it's been all... be grateful you have not been on crypto Twitter as much. It's been unavoidable this week.
Yeah, scammers scamming all the way down. You love to see it. Papazio getting a double shout this week. Documents the next entity to be screwed over by World Liberty. It goes on. So Aave is in the process of being scammed now. Forgive me for being light on the details.
The scam is a very different form.
Okay.
Carry on.
Okay. Forgive me for being light on the details because I've only listened to this on a recent Chopping Block episode. World Liberty is or was supposed to be a fork of Aave and had an agreement. Sorry, debt collectors.
Good luck. The money's on the blockchain. Can't lean this.
They took my gallbladder. I don't have insurance. I'll figure it out later. Now World Liberty has launched and is worth I messed up. Hold on. World Liberty was supposed to be a fork of Aave and had an agreement proposed in Aave governance and ratified in World Liberty governance for a proportion of the initial launch fees to go back to Aave. Now that World Liberty has launched and is worth a stupid number of dollars, roughly $2 billion owed to Aave, is being denied by the World Liberty execs and potentially challenged by Stanny. Maybe the real 10x this cycle has been the PolitiFinance scam. Stupid us for sticking with the tech, eh? Oh my gosh. Wow.
So yeah, basically, World Liberty Financial is going to be using the Aave tech stack. So they signed basically a license deal that said there'd be some kickbacks for that, right? Yeah, or not. Take us to court. Good luck, Aave.
Yeah, I mean, it's just... I think when you do a deal with the Trump schemers, you go into it not worrying about the initial contract, but you're going to worry more about your legal requirements to fight them when they try to screw you over. Like,
there's a long history of contractors not getting paid by the Trump family. That's just a fact.
That's incredible.
They can and will just wait you out. Right, on lawyer fees until you're paid 10 times more than what they owe you in lawyer fees. And it's not for the principle of it, right? It's just, I don't know, they got their lawyers on retainer. They're going to be doing something.
Color me shocked. Alexis Keff shares Paradigm not making sense in an effort to pump their VC bags. Alexis Keff is a Duder 73 for this week. Paradigm on why Tempo is a new blockchain instead of an L2. Quote, but building a network for global payments will require bringing together thousands of partners that may not trust us or Stripe or anyone else as a platform. We think a decentralized validator set for the chain itself is a necessary requirement for those partners and to ensure that the chain is unquestionably neutral in the long run, unquote. I have read this 5 times, Alexis says. My head will explode. Partners may not trust them, so their plan is not to build on the only truly neutral, decentralized network, but to, here we go, create something that they control. And to top it off, start with a permission validator set. And trust me, bro, air quote, we'll decentralize it ASAP. And FYI, this was taken just 6 months ago. Take a look at the tag names. Half of them are the cream of the crop of the Ethereum community. They either completely missed this coming, they were played, or increasingly so, we are the naive ones who have no idea what is going on. Am I reading this wrong? Yeah, there's Matt Huang.
Yeah, at the table, right? You have Danny Ryan, you have Brian Armstrong right? He's right. These are not unheard of people.
Yeah, and this was 6 months ago.
I'm gonna go with Danny Ryan is probably as pro ETH as it comes, so I don't think that he went into that with both eyes open if he was endorsing this.
Yeah,
but Tempo, their claim is like, oh, it won't go fast enough. I don't know. Mega ETH's numbers are kind of impressive, and they use IconDA for data availability at least, right? You don't have to settle on the Ethereum L1, right, for you to use a remittance system. I don't know what Tempo's thinking. It seems to me very like it's almost like context-free grammar. The paragraph of like why they chose Tempo is like, but your argument doesn't support your action. But do you understand what you're doing? It really defies belief.
Yeah,
they wanna own everything. They wanna own the order flow.
But sequencing is something that is a trusted thing, and you can't buy trust, right? So who of the people that are going to be using your chain want to trust you to own the order flow, as opposed to trusting credibly neutral infrastructure, because that doesn't have to belong to anyone, right? That can corrupt it. This is something we can reach, consensus on in a provably fair way, and that doesn't leave as much room for corruption and MEV basically to Stripe. So
I agree with you, but to play devil's advocate of what people generally say is that users will not care as much as you think that they will.
Yeah, but other institutions, they're saying, oh, well, PayPal will use Tempo. PayPal will care. The average user won't care, sure. But PayPal as an institution that would onboard onto Tempo, that Stripe now owns their payment order flow.
Yeah, I agree with that. So
good luck getting that network effect, Stripe. I'm sure that Stripe can use it for their own order flow, and that's fine, right? Like at that point, it's a centralized database. It's no different than Web 2. You put it on a blockchain, which is meaningless because it's just basically a centralized database. I don't see much advantages to that compared to anything Web 2. So for that point, it's like people, what was it, like the blockchain Arizona iced tea company or something that like got a 200% stock boost at once upon a time. Sure, it has blockchain in the name. You ride on some hype in order to increase your valuation, but it's meaningless unless you can build network effect. And who is going to trust Stripe to be a credibly neutral owner of the order flow when you have perfectly cheap, like 1/1,000,000th of a cent, block space that can do that off of places like Mega ETH in, a year, right? Like why Tempo? It just reeks as ignorance. Like they actually don't see the irony in what they said compared to what they're doing, which is just weird.
I bet you it is ignorance. I was at the recently there was a stablecoin conference in Mexico City. Actually, it was like a 2-day conference, and it was great. There was a lot of larger institutional players here. I actually spoke with some people from Stripe as well at like one of the after parties that there was, and just speaking to some of the institutional players who are now getting into stablecoins. They don't deeply understand this stuff like we do, right? We've been around for a while, and it's just like I was talking to this one guy just to kind of like set the stage and for the example, or to set context, right? And they didn't understand why to choose one blockchain over another. And when talking about Ethereum to him, and I mentioned the idea of resiliency, of 100% uptime, of all these things, of just how block production even works. It's like they don't know literally any of this, right? Like these people are getting into it more for the name of, and even when he said, yeah, we're going to use stable coins, we're not even going to tell our users or our customers that they're using stable coins. We're just going to do it. We don't even really get it. Right? They just understand that it's more efficient, that there's price savings essentially, but they don't actually understand the technological workings of how these things go. And so it's like they're still. I think you're right that it's based in ignorance essentially. Like a lot of these guys don't necessarily care how these things work. I think obviously we care. I think other companies should care. I think these people who are getting into stablecoins very deeply should care about how this stuff works, about why
they should. And they had
works.
Danny Ryan at a table there, and he knows all the stuff that you and I are just talking about. So if they don't know this stuff now, it's because they're not asking or they don't care to learn. At that point, it's willful ignorance. Not that they haven't had the opportunity, the resources, etc., which is just way less forgivable than, oh, it's not really our core DNA, and so we don't know these things. Tee-hee, we're just doing it for efficiency. Like, oh no, you're being willfully ignorant at some point when you have access to people like Danny Ryan at your table.
I mean, I don't think Matt in any way is ignorant, right? Like, I want to make that clear. I think he clearly knows the industry very well, so I don't think it's ignorance on his end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could have just been a skateboard with an Apple logo opportunity that, you know, they were putting some people around the table that maybe they were just there for a dinner date and didn't realize there was going to be like a alignment, you know, narrative out of that. I love this reply. This Celery 7651 says, if we redefine the terms decentralized, neutral, and trustless, it fits perfectly our bullshit narrative.
It's like in part of Matt's post, I remember he mentioned something about being like credibly neutral, and then it's like their validator set's permissioned, right? It's like we're decentralized and trustless, incredibly neutral, but the validator set is permissioned. It's like not. That's
right. It's proof of authority.
Exactly. It's like that is the exact opposite of what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's ignorance.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like he's trying to shape a narrative and like redefine things purposely, right, to do it. But the guy's not dumb.
Right.
As I said, not enough room for MEV.
There you go. All right. User Hot Sentence 4706 tells us a cautionary tale. If Reddit assigned that as an automatic username, that's pretty dope. Hot Sentence 4706 is a duder number 3 for this week. A cautionary tale. One of my soft wallets has ended up with more ETH than I had anticipated, and I can't move it until I can wind down a DeFi position, hopefully
First
soon.
world problems.
Yeah. I also actively use the wallet. I never intended to hold assets on this wallet. When I set up the wallet, I had intended the wallet to be ultra soft, so I never really protected the seed phrase sufficiently. I thought it was probably safe enough for the wallet's original purpose and had the phrase encoded in a password protected file on an online document drive. I know this is suboptimal. Ooh. I know it's bad practice, but for the wallet's original use, I thought this was okay. It was also a long time ago before I had a safe at home. Anyway, I had decided to delete all references to the seed phrase and move the phrase offline into a longer-term solution, such as CryptoSteel. When I was going through today and erasing the password-protected file, I discovered the seed phrase was also saved in an unprotected text document right by the password-protected file. Hopefully, I was fortunate here, and I will move the assets off of this wallet when I get the chance. But this is a cautionary tale that over time, plans change, and what we thought might have been safe for the original purpose may no longer be the case. We might also forget some of the obvious insecurities when files were set up. Keep safe, and remember, unlike me, that we should always try to adopt best and secure practices. Good reminder there.
Yeah, if anyone needs to set up a private key or a wallet, I have a post called The Weakest Link on my blog that you should go, and it'll give you a spectrum of options, right, from convenient to industrial grade to help you out. Like, it'll walk you through step by step. This is achievable.
And if you want something that the intersection of safety and convenience, you know, I got a wallet to show you that happens to be the name of a nut.
Yeah, and you don't have to manage keys at all if you do that.
Exactly.
So I don't know if your Pistachio wallet's going to let me like yeet into Aave. Haven't tried.
You can yeet into Compound. We don't have an Aave vault, but we do have a Compound vault.
But you see my point, right? I can't just go out to Convex or whatever and do full DeFi with it. It's a protected environment, so to speak. But exactly. But if you do need to manage your own key and you do need to get into that, this is written in 2022. The principles have not changed. This is security, in information theory, right? With everything you need to figure out what level of technological sophistication you want to do. So, I can talk about like Shamir's secret sharing scheme, which is something most people have not probably heard of even today. We can talk about how to use asymmetric encryption in order to be able to generate as many wallets as you want from a single secret, right? In an extensible, maintainable way. There's a whole spectrum of how sophisticated you want to be on this. You'll go through the different storage mechanisms for the key itself, whether physical or digital, and hopefully find something that meets your level of like just how much security do you need, how technically sophisticated do you want to be. Once you do that, there's another one called crypto postmortem, which is when you die, how is someone else going to recover your key phrase? Which can be important because we're talking about life-changing wealth here. So those two are kind of a pair. And if you do those, you're basically set up not just for your life, for beyond your life, for your crypto security.
And make a trust. There's another one. I'm going to have a lawyer on at some point in the future that specializes in building trusts and wealth management and stuff like that. I was talking to him. This is a bit of a derail, but by the way, that's LogrisTheBard from tokenomicsexplained.com. He has a ton of blog articles, all things Ethereum and just common sense best practices for a variety of things, including storage and DeFi, among others. But he does not have a good banana bread recipe posted. I think that's need to get that.
I do not.
Yeah.
I would definitely have to go to ChatGPT for that one. It wouldn't be mine anyway.
But anyway, the lawyer, I was talking to him, I'm like, how many people over the last few years, and he's a younger guy, are starting to talk about crypto? And he's like, more than I ever anticipated, because he's finding there's actually a fair amount of older people that are invested. And yeah, the typical crypto bro narrative in terms of people that are in the mood to make a trust. He's like, no, it's out there.
My very own mother is finally capitulating, getting into wants to get into some stablecoin investing. So Brian, if you can get that Pistachio wallet ready, she's the type of user you'd want.
There you go. All right, back to the Doots. CoinAnon user CoinAnon thinks that a co-founder of a platform, Stripe, acquired. I need a comment in here. User CoinAnon thinks that a co-founder of a platform, Stripe, acquired simply doesn't get decentralization. And user Rhythm of E thinks that their strategy is doomed to fail. CoinAnon is a Deuter 33 for this week. Rhythm of ETH is a Deuter 50. These are some pretty high-ranking people here. The latest Bankless podcast with a co-founder of Bridge, which is the stablecoin startup that Stripe acquired, makes it clear why Stripe is creating their own layer 1. He is from TradFi and talks about blockchains as a generic term with zero interest in decentralization. He said literally, quote, even the blockchain that everybody loves, Solana, unquote, and talks about trying to use Stellar and Solana as if they're decentralized blockchains. He also kept trying to insist that Tempo is not a Stripe blockchain somehow. My interpretation is that they're not crypto natives, so they don't fully understand decentralization. I hope that they will learn and become an L2. I think this episode gets released to non-subscribers on Monday, though. User Rhythm of ETH replies.
I hope that someone just bashes enough on Tempo, it actually gets through to them, that they're willing to look into the matter more deeply, right?
Yeah.
I hope that the negative response they're going to get from being so obviously wrong in their terminology and so obviously either ignorant or evil on this is going to get enough backlash that there's time to pivot this still.
Yeah. User Rhythm of ETH replies, this is such a classic enterprise move. Try to create a consortium by establishing a satellite project that you control, but pretend not to control, and try to see if the competitors take the bait. It never works out. It never does. It always ends as a fragmented ecosystem, thousands of banks, or alternatively, an oligopolistic Oligopolistic. Yeah. Market. That's a cool word.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Oligopolistic.
Oligopolistic market. Jesus. Mike Rowe, where are you? The thing is that counterparty risk and liquidity fragmentation won't be solved in either of those outcomes. Tempo is not a risk to the bet inherently embedded in Ethereum, a trustless, decentralized, fully liquid settlement layer with a massive network effects, because the premise of its existence is simply a power grab move. It's not even playing in the same axis. To quote the article more, my interpretation is that they're not crypto native, so they don't fully understand decentralization. I hope they learn to become an L2. The reply, Rhythm of E, says, funnily enough, a few crypto natives are a part of the project, but they are basically playing a value extract game with Stripe, in my opinion. Tempo will never be an L2. It will either die down or will be a suboptimal implementation of a normal database. There you go. Yeah, it's almost like the puppeteer is actually the marionette controlling the puppeteer, but they're charging people at admission to come, watch the show, but the show never changes, so it's just going to suck, and nobody's ever going to build on it. It's just going to fade away, Like, somebody's going to outdo Stripe at some point if they try to go this route. It's just, I don't know. It's how it's kind of like, the dot-com bubble when things get a little bit wackadoo and everybody's making all kinds of bets on different things, and poof, they're gone. Things that were thought to be huge and substantial that were going to last forever just fade away. Iter Ad Astra thinks that strategic ETH reserve companies should do a bit more for ETH the asset. Preach on. Iter Ad Astra is a duder number 75. I wonder whether all of these SCR companies investing billions, those are strategic reserve companies, investing billions in ETH, have even done any investigation on the ROI of just buying versus buying and at the same time advertising ETH. It's just a guess, but I believe the second option would be far more profitable. Personally, I would set aside 5 to 10% of the stack as, quote, promoting and marketing fund. Coupled with the buys, there's no way $1 invested in this won't return more than $1 in the future. And I'm not just talking about shilling to retail. Business to business promotion and showcasing why ETH should be chosen over its rivals is also marketing. What do you guys think? Could this be in the cards for the future? If I was Tom Lee and I was aware of the massive FUD campaigns against ETH, the insane levels of ignorance concerning the technology, and the huge advertising budgets of its rivals, in my opinion, most L1, quote, foundations do zero tech research and are just marketing companies with a side of slush fund for the founders. There's no way I wouldn't be considering this. On the other hand, maybe it's something that must take place after the buys are done. Maybe it's that they've done their homework and concluded that marketing is unnecessary because ETH has already won. Yeah, well said. This I saw it was Mark Cuban in an interview. Tucker Carlson was also in the interview. There was two interviewers, and they were interviewing Tucker Carlson and Cuban. And the question was about Ukraine. This is a bit off like the rails, but hear me out. In this idea that these treasury companies are, they're buying ETH asset, but they're not doing anything to market, right? Okay. So when they were interviewing Mark Cuban and Tucker Carlson, they were like, do you support funding the war in Ukraine? And Mark was like, well, yes, I think that they should be funding the war in Ukraine. After all, my people were from Ukraine and this, that, or the other. And Tucker was like, so your heritage is Ukrainian? How much money have you donated? Have you given any money at all? And he said no. And he's like, you're worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. You haven't given anything. So it's kind of like this idea of they like the idea of buying ETH, but they're not doing a lot on the marketing side. Hopefully some of these treasury companies do stuff to help on, protocol development, whatever, funding like that. I think that's an altruistic thing to do. But that's so well said. It was this point here. It was the business to business promotion and showcasing why ETH should be chosen over its rivals. That's an important piece of it. Like, cool, you're buying it as a speculation, but why? And business to business promotion is an important part of this. But anyway, I digress. I don't know if either of you have anything. I'll just keep going. All right. User Fiberpunk 2077 covers the huge growth in the validator execute, and user Harog explains the full story behind it. Fiberpunk 2077 is a duder number 20 for this week. The validator exit withdrawal queue has jumped up to 1.6 million ETH on Beacon Chain and 2 million ETH on Petrified due to Kiln exiting all their validators out of an abundance of caution after the Solana incident with Swissborg. User Harog replies, the Kiln staking exit is an interesting one. 2 days ago, Swissborg, a Swiss crypto exchange, got 190,000 SOL stolen from their earned product. Apparently, someone got access to the API of Kiln, their sole staking provider. It is not quite clear yet who is at fault, but it looks like something got compromised between Swissborg and Kiln. This made Kiln worried about the integrity of their infrastructure, and they decided to exit all their Ethereum validators as well. There is no indication that the ETH staked through Kiln is in danger of being stolen. Kiln is the biggest staking provider on Ethereum. According to Rated.network, they have 5.2% of all staked ETH under their service. Holy crap. Half of the ETH is from their own customers, and the other half is through Ledger Live and Enterprise, Coinbase, Swell, and Enzyme. It looks like at the moment they exited around 1 million ETH from the Beacon chain. They have 800,000 more ETH staked on their infrastructure. Maybe they will exit the remaining ones as well. Or maybe they are staked differently and not planned to be exited. It is pretty obvious that Kiln will redeposit the ETH after they change whatever needs to be changed on their infrastructure. Not sure if customers will get reimbursed for lost staking rewards or not. It will be interesting to see if they redeposit as large validators. 2,048 ETH per validator, or just keep the small ones at 32. But either way, the deposit queue will get massive in the coming months. And there's more information at dailydoots.com if you want to follow those leads. User E2353 rounds out our show this week. They share the other consensus layer slashings and explains SSV. And then here he is again. Harhog provides more info about the slashings. User E2353 is a duder 52 this week. This is so cool. There's so many heavy hitters on the week. User 2353 E2353 writes, 40 validators have been slashed today so far, most of them attributed to Anchor. All the slash validators were run on SSV. Lido has chosen to exercise caution and asked its node operators to temporarily shut down their SSV nodes while SSV is investigating. Can you, either one of you tell me what SSV is? Let me know. Well, I'll keep you posted as this evolves. If you're running any SSV nodes yourself, you may want to take them offline temporarily while this is being investigated, depending on your risk appetite. Okay, update. This incident seems to have been caused by an operational mistake by Anchor and was not caused by SSV. All right, here we go. SSV is a network that allows validators to be run in a distributed way using DVT, which is distributed validator technology. A validator is basically split up among different node operators who each only get access to a part of the validator key. That way, no single node operator has access to the full validator private key. That also means no single node operator can get the validator slashed. What DVT doesn't mean is that the validator absolutely cannot get slashed, as evidenced here. Harog replies to all of this. All of the slash validators have pretty low validator numbers. Not exactly Genesis validators, but pretty close to it within a few months. According to the block graffiti, they seem to have changed quite a bit over time. First, the graffiti was powered. Then at the end of 2021, it was switched to StakeFi. The graffiti changed to a more generic consensus client version at the end of 2022. The last change was in December 2023 when the graffiti switched to SSV.network. That is pretty much the start of SSV.network on mainnet. According to Beacon Chain, it is part of the Anchor staking pool. From what I have seen, they have been slashed for double attestation. Until now, this normally happened when keys have been running on more than one machine. In my understanding, SSV has two different ways to generate a distributed key. One can either generate a new set of keys for a non-existing validator, or one can split an existing validator key. From how the old slash validators are, let me rephrase that. From how old the slash validators are, we know the validator keys must have existed and it was split afterward. This means that the original validator key might still exist and could be reactivated by the accident. Could also be that they just started another SSV cluster with the already split keys. Almost all the slashings have been accidental activations of validator keys on two machines. As long as there is not more detail from the node runners, we obviously can't know exactly what happened. But I would guess that there is a bigger chance that the validator keys have been accidentally activated on another machine than any other reason. Lucky for them, this happened after Pectra, or the slashing penalties would have been worse. Update. After posting and updating, I saw the update by ETH2353 on the issue. It seems like they really just ran the keys on more than one machine or cluster. And that rounds us out for this week. Brian Smocovich, the man himself from Pistachio.fi, LogrisTheBard, our technical interviewer. Thanks so much, both of you guys, for helping produce the show today. We got all kinds of guests coming up on our AMAs. Brian, if you got your spreadsheet in front of you, rattle those off again. Who we got up on the plate?
So for the next few weeks, we're going to have in order Kieros, Chipped, Awaken Tax, Joke Race, Finance, Azos, Orbit Finance, Mega ETH, Pistachio.fi, Mocha App, Superfluid, Syndicate.io, Blue Chip, Bondi Finance, and Poid. If anyone else wants to participate in the AMA, currently we're booked week over week until basically throughout the end of the year, through the end of December. But please get on the list because we only do one a week. It grows quickly, and if you want to get in there and not in sometime in mid 2026, then please let me know. Happy to get Ethereum projects on there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Next week, we got Anthony Bertolini and or Cody Sale from Obol. Obol's got a big update that they're going to let us know about. We've got a person coming from Alchemix on October 3rd. And then we're going to be reaching out to several more teams. There's some other folks on the calendar, but I'll put a pin in it for now. But we're going to try to grab some of these AMA guests, get them on the podcast too. Make sure that you get a chance. If you get a chance, head on over to dailydoots.com and jump on our podcast page. You can see all of the links to our podcast listed there. All right. Well, that's it, everybody. Thanks so much. Stick around after the live stream because we continue the party in the hotel lobby on Discord for a bonus hour of popcorn. It's a fun place to let loose when the parents aren't watching on YouTube. Hi, Mom. On behalf of our Ethereum and the EV Mavericks DAO, my name is JT. Cheers and big hugs from Kansas City.